I'm getting 5 figures a month, pure profit, no work at all. More passive than anything else I've ever done.
Sophie Howard, we finally get to meet and share the stage. Great to meet you.
Great to meet you too, Stephen. So nice to properly meet you and talk in real time, because we've been in similar circles working together for years. So nice to
Yeah,
see you.
absolutely. Well, thanks for coming on. I thought we put this interview together because we're going to talk about another way to make money on Amazon, make it real or real income on Amazon as well, doing something that personally I'm not doing and I want to learn more about. And so I thought by bringing you on today, we can talk all about the world of selling digital products on Amazon, different kinds of digital products as well, because that's obviously the area that you've been really focused on. And this is going to go out to people who are clients of ours, as well as people who are not yet clients of Marketplace Superheroes, but they might be really interested in this topic. And so I think the best place to start is going to be just to get to know you a little bit better. And I know, like, we're not going to do the whole, you and I are similar. We don't have the whole I lived in my car, I ate dog food story, right? But we have a simple one. So let's talk about, how did you get into selling different kinds of digital items on Amazon? And then we'll just take it from there.
Brilliant. Well, like you, I was selling physical products on Amazon for a bunch of years, and that was going well. And I sold a big brand for over $1 million and launched lots and lots of products on Amazon over the years. So I had a really good run there and experienced the joy of Amazon bringing you customers. And I looked at all my other friends in online business who are on other platforms, and gosh, it looks so hard. I mean, those Facebook ads and the social media nonstop posting, it's not for me. So Amazon all the way. And then within Amazon, just when COVID hit, the supply chains actually ended up all being fine. But I had a bit of a spook as everybody closed borders, and I was wondering what was going to happen to my suppliers. So I was like, right. And I was meant to be taking a trade show to India. So I had a whole week in my calendar blocked out, the borders shut. I was like, I should do something. What should I do with this clear week? It's a rare treat in my life. And so I looked into ebooks, because I'd written a book about how to sell physical products on Amazon. And I just sort of thrown it up on Kindle just to teach sort of a summarized version of my product strategy. And it had always just sold away quietly, and I did nothing, didn't know what I was doing. And it was under my name, and it wasn't sort of ever deliberately done to make great book sales. That was already in play. And then I could see that digital only was a really, really good strategy, having just had various dramas with other product issues. So I was really happy to, keep the products running, but try and find another thing that was going to see me through this pandemic. So that was 2020. And I swatted up on how Kindle works. It's basically just like a physical product. It's, if you do a nonfiction book, it's basically the same thing. As a customer goes to Amazon, types in the search box for a solution to a problem. They want something to improve their lives, and they're ready to buy, and they know exactly what they're after. They're not there to do anything apart from buy something. So all that data is out there about what the demand is for different search terms, just like for the product side. I was like, well, in that case, we just produce books like a sausage machine and feed what the market's buying. And figure out how to do that. So obviously, not being a writer, didn't want to write them myself. So, I had to figure out a way to outsource the writing. What those rankings on the BSI, if people listening to this know about Amazon and the ranking system, so that's all, quite mechanical. So there's not as much creativity in this book game as you might think. It's definitely response to search traffic and produce a really consistent product that the market's buying based on keywords. So I'm not some, bohemian artist living in a loft attic somewhere writing beautiful books and having Netflix deals off them. It's definitely quite real.
I think that's a nice thing, though. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's good to be honest about the business model that we're all in, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we now have a big focus on wholesale on Amazon. So obviously that's selling pre-existing brands. We're doing very well with that. Our students are doing very well with that. At the end of the day, it's like we don't really care what we sell. Obviously, it has to be ethical and good, but it's not like we're sitting here, like you say, thinking about it all day long. This is just a means to an end. It's a simple business. It's a lifestyle business that gives us income. And so I love it. So you had this book and it was doing okay, kind of give you that spark of an idea. Well, what if I, and I love the way you transferred basically your physical product strategy over to Kindle. And you said, well, what if we just make digital books? And so the fact that you didn't write them yourself is a big deal. But I suppose then, like, for anybody that's listening thinking, but it's only valuable if I write the book and if it's all my work. Like, what do you say to people if they have that kind of, because it's almost like saying, well, if you have to manufacture your product and yourself, like open a factory in order to make that too. Like, is that the parallel, or what would you say about that?
Yeah, so it's a product fit for market, produced to a high standard. And I'm not a writer, so find a writer just like you would find a factory. So actually, when I sold products back in the early days, I was the first person to sell on Amazon glass straws, believe it or not. And I killed it for a long time. I was doing really, really well with my glass straw sales. But I commissioned somebody back then to write an ebook on smoothie and juice recipes.
Oh.
And so I'd done that, and it was sort of like a free thing that went with the glass straws before everyone else did glass straws. And then I changed my product strategy quite a lot, things that are not so easy to copy. But I'd done that, so I knew kind of where to look, basically Upwork for a writer, and writing a job description and put a fixed price project out there. So I did bigger word counts for the ebooks, and my name's not on any of the new ones. So they're all done under a pen name, which is totally standard. Even all those big bestseller novels are all ghostwriters, by the way. Sorry to ruin the dreamy ideas you have of your favorite author. They're probably just a team of writers on Upwork.
I love James Patterson, and he actually doesn't hide it anymore. It's literally just like his name is on it, but ultimately it's written by somebody else. So much so, I actually bought one of his books one time when I was on holiday, and I almost threw it in the swimming pool. It was that bad, It's just like this is not good. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is that I love what you're saying. We can commission somebody to come in and write a book. So I suppose talking about these actual books, then, when we're looking at a physical product on Amazon, be it private label or whatever, people have a kind of a set point in their head of like how much profit they might make on sale. So I know it's a difficult question to ask of like, what's the standard? Because there probably isn't one, but have you seen a certain profitability? Like, what's the methodology to make money with this business, and what do the profits kind of look like whenever you make a book sale?
It's a good question. Top of everyone's mind, because we are in the business-like way, not as creatives. I reckon they're exactly double what I got on my products. So I was pretty good at products. I did a lot of them, not bragging, but, I knew a lot of numbers on a lot of products. Plus I was coaching a lot of students and knew a lot of their numbers. So, I think it's sort of averages out double the profit margin. But the best thing is, so Amazon takes their commission just like a product. So it's about a third.
Yeah.
70% royalty comes to you on typical ebook. One really nice thing on top of that is you never need to think again. There's no restock, there's no shipping, there's no inventory storage fees, there's no out of stocks and lost sales, there's no juggling cash flow. It's set and forget with the production side. So not only is your profit margin double, the workload's all done in week one, and then you're done. So all those little income streams can all add up. And then you can chop and change the format, your 5x5 rule, markets and things. You do that with these books as well. So you do an ebook, a paperback, an audio book, and then you can get it translated into different languages.
You knew about my rule of 5. I can't believe it.
Of course I do.
You knew about that. I feel famous now almost. Sophie knows my rule of 5. Wow. That's going back a few years, but that was that time. We talked about that for a long time. Yeah.
Well, it makes sense because the incremental costs nothing, and the new revenue streams. It's not even just that you've got more dollars coming in, it's from the different places. So you're better insulated for exchange rates or different market trends, or Amazon does something funny to your account somewhere, there's a blip in the algorithm one day and you're missing. So it's good just to expand as much as you can. I don't do any books beyond Amazon. So there's a whole massive industry out there about publishing your books all over the show. I went to a conference last year in Vegas with all the book people. I was the least bookish person there. Anyway, they do a lot of running around for a very small extra return after the Amazon bit. Like, it's all on Amazon Books. There's what were they called? Apple iBooks. There's Barnes and Noble. There's
Kobo and all these.
Muck around forever with all that other stuff, and I just don't touch it. It's all about Amazon for me. Make sure everything's squeaky clean. So for things like copyright and just the quality of the writing, like you don't want loads of errors because they're bots. If there's lots of bad reviews and things, obviously, and the algorithm's the same as for products. So it's looking at sales velocity, number of reviews, quality of reviews. So you want to have a really quality product, which might cost you about $1,000 or so to produce.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking to make a couple of $100 sales each month off each book. So payback period in the months, not years. No more overheads, just like products. There's no office or staff or any other ongoing costs that are fixed, but just that variable cost. If you just plow back in, profits from the first books into more books. Before you know it, I'm getting 5 figures a month, pure profit, no work at all. More passive than anything else I've ever done.
Amazing. And I get that, actually. That makes sense that it's very passive. And I love the fact there's no restock fees. There's no cash flow management like you talked about. I think that's a huge deal. And if you're a beginner, especially, like, that's another big deal, because it does take time to learn that. Even with the wholesale model, we obviously have software that helps manage all these kinds of things. But at the end of the day, you're still juggling a lot of stuff. And that's just a reality. It's a reality of running a physical product business. So I love that. So then, and congratulations, by the way, on your success with this. I think it's really cool. I also love the fact that you're not one of these people who is like, I'm making $350 bajillion a month, right? And I have 2 million Lamborghinis and all that jazz. Like, you live a normal life, and this is something that funds your life, which I love. But just to talk a little bit more about like the business, then obviously we're not going to get into what the books are and stuff, because totally understand we want to keep that private. How many books have you worked up to now at this point in time with your various topics that are you in one niche? Are you in many niches?
Lots of niches, and I've got about 6 different pen names running. Yeah. And I try and pop out 1 new book a month, and I've been doing this for a few years, but I did have a big flurry at the start. And I tried lots of different types of books too. Like, there's the non-fiction seems to be the easiest and best. There's a thing called public domain publishing, where you get the expired copyright old classics and you can republish them for free, so you don't need to write them. So I did a bunch of those because they're really cheap to produce. And 1 or 2 of those do really well, but they're not as predictable because anyone else has got access to the same thing. So it was really just a front cover game.
Yeah. Was Think and Grow Rich public domain? I think that might have been her.
Yeah. And all like Holmeses and things, they're all out there. So I did a lot of those. So if you looked at my book tally, there's lots of those ones in there too. But I've got a few hundred, and probably the top 20 really cranking. And just like any portfolio, some do better than your research showed they would. A bunch do exactly as they should, and then a bunch don't work quite as well. So you wouldn't want just 1 or 2 books. You'd want a portfolio, and you choose a topic that's going to be around forever. And just keep on selling.
Well, I heard an interesting story. I'll share it with you. It's not nothing that you've done. Maybe you've done this before. Maybe you haven't, but I'm not sure. But a friend of mine was telling me about a guy he knows. It's not the same strategy in Amazon, but it's somewhat similar. And basically, he has a way where he's able to sell digital stuff on Amazon, but not on Kindle. A little bit different. But he had a course about how to play the ukulele, I think it was. Right. And the numbers he was sharing with me over a 3-year period were ridiculous. I mean, I think they were heading for even the 7-figure mark, which was, I've never seen that personally, but it was pretty amazing. But what I like what you're saying is, hey, you don't need to do that. You can have lots of different books. Some of them will be less expensive than others to produce. That makes total sense. You only ever have to pay for it once, remember, and then it's absolutely done, dusted, and then just let it do its thing. And so I love that. And I think, if you make a few $100 a month, like you're kind of saying, per book, well, then it's just a numbers game, right? And so I suppose, speaking of numbers games and all that, like, how active are you with these books? Like, are you sitting there every day running advertising for all these different books, or are you just relying on the Amazon machine to do its job?
90-something% the Amazon machine. So I put most of my time and energy into thinking of good keywords, and we need really 1 or 2 of those a month. So that doesn't take too long. And we've got some software that helps pick those, which is handy. Saves a lot of digging around in the depths of Amazon subcategories. So see what's trending, see what's selling, what's in demand, what looks interesting, what fits either existing pen names I've got, or I've got some interest in the subject. Like, I don't do completely random topics. But they're all over the show. Like, they're in any area. I've got like sports, philosophy, history, self-help. Writers do their writing, and I actually pay someone. She's pretty well paid. She's on $20 an hour, but she just does that final proof, edit, upload. She's got access to my account. She's in the States. She's actually got a writing background. So somebody like that's really easy to find and hire, because they're not actually being paid to write. They're just sort of doing the admin on it, which, just like a virtual assistant like you'd have in a products business, just that sort of product handling and saving the right files in the right folders on Dropbox, which I'd be rubbish at. So have someone who organizes things, like a project manager, basically. And you could probably get someone at a quarter of the price who's got perfect English and can upload files, but I pay a bit more because I like her. And she just makes, like when there's payments to release on Upwork to the writers, that sort of thing. So she just manages those milestones and uploads the final book, and then she lets me know it's gone live. And every month I see a bunch of emails come in, your KDP payment's on its way, and off I go and wait for it to turn up in my bank account, and it's very healthy. So those numbers come in, and I've got pretty much paid that assistant, it's hundreds, not thousands of dollars a month. She takes care of all the sort of book handling. You could do it yourself. I used to do them all myself, and just to learn the ropes. And it's always best when you're learning something to do it yourself up front. And then just because the volume got a bit higher. Then the advertising, we do run ads, and that's been really effective on a lot of the non-fiction books, but I outsource that as well. And there's plenty of people out there who can help with that. But again, you can do it yourself, and it tends to be a really good return on investment to just pay for a bit of extra traffic to see those books. It's not very competitive, like what you and I have dealt with over the years on the product side of the shop, the rebate codes for this and 5,000 giveaways, and look, how did that competitor get 700 reviews overnight? If it'll say the same thing. There's nothing like that in books. It's amateur hour. It's so basic. There's not that many people doing it. It's really early time to get into it, which is good.
That's great, because I didn't know that. I would have said like that wasn't the case. So again, that's why I'm bringing you on, so I can be educated on the opportunity and learn from you and go and get it done. Because again, what I like about this is I'm not going to sit there and write books just like you. I love that. I love the honesty. I'm not going to sit there because even now, like I partner with all these Amazon businesses that we're involved in now. Like I'm not sitting there in Seller Central every day. There's other people doing that now, because obviously I've changed and evolved over the years. I think that's why we're in business at the end of the day, right? We're not in business to sit here and be like pressing buttons all day. Like you've got a family, right? So you've got kids. If you don't mind me asking, feel free to say, Stephen, I'm never going to answer that question, but what do you find you spend a lot of your days doing? Are you mostly just non-business hanging out, or do you like spending time in your business, or what does that look like?
Yeah, well, this is probably a bit controversial. I was hunting yesterday. Instantly part of your audience end call.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think everyone will be all right with that. Well, not everyone, but most people will be.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I did yesterday daytime. Today is the first day of the ski season. So I don't know if you look out my window, but it's not looking terribly promising. It's rather grey and wintry out there. So freezing, like that's a big thick layer of cloud over the lake. But there's 3 ski fields half an hour from here. So the kids are going up there 9 and 11. So first day of skiing, and then next week, on Monday, I'm taking my daughter out of school. We're going to fly up to Christchurch and look at a private school that I'd like her to go to when she gets to high school age, but boarding. I went to boarding school. It's not a cheap undertaking. So actually, that's what I'm working for, to pay for things like that. 7 years of school fees ahead.
That will be tasty now. That will be tasty. Yeah.
And then we've got a new puppy. My dad's coming to visit for 3 days next week. So I'm not working 4 days of next week. I've got 1 day in Christchurch and 3 days with dad here. So I think things like that, I just have a very nice life.
Yeah, but this business pays for that. Obviously, you do some coaching and stuff as well, but so that's fine. But that's great. So, okay, back to business then, and then talking about sort of like a very common question people ask, and you'll have been asked it a million times, but I have to ask it, or the audience be like, why didn't you ask her? Is sort of how long does it take to get kind of up and running? And from your students you've worked with and the experience you've had, kind of how long has it taken people to get up and running and start to see some sales, not necessarily $1 million, but even just some sign of like, I've made some sales. I can see a bit of momentum starting now.
Yeah. So usually the writers, so you would do some training to figure out how the game works, give yourself a week or 2 to learn the basics. Don't need to do the whole training, just, up to the point where you're choosing your book topic. So say a week or 2 to get your head around that and play around with some keyword ideas.
Yeah.
Then hire the writer. That's really quick and easy. Just show you where to do that. And then and what rate cards and word counts and all that stuff, and instructions for format and tone, just copy and paste all that. And then they take maybe 4 weeks to write the book, 30,000 words, in which time you can finish the training, swat up on everything, set up your KDP account, all those bits, load up the book. So you're up to like week 6 or 8 or so. And then the book could sell that day, first sale. And then Amazon pays out on the month cycle. Wow. So you see your tally accumulating, just like in Seller Central, of your sales to each month.
And you've seen some books kind of get results as soon as that? Like you have seen that happen before? Wow. That's great.
And also, while you're waiting for your non-fiction book to get written, you can play around with things like low content, like journals and planners, and publish some of those really fast.
Yeah.
If you're into that. or those older public domain copyright free books. So there's lots you can do while you're waiting around for your book, or just start the next few books, get them in the pipeline. So it's not a long wait. I can't think of anything that turns around as quickly as that. There's no shipping of anything. I mean, one nice thing, it's because it's such a low cost product, the customers don't think that hard about buying a $3 ebook. They just get it, and they probably get a bunch of them on the same subject when they buy one. And then there's never any returns. You know, the commission to Amazon, they're making pure profit because it costs them nothing to send out an ebook. They really don't want to lose top spot of that market share of the book game. They started out as a book business with Jeff Bezos and his garage selling secondhand books. So they're really protective of their booksellers, and they look after this bit of their business really, really well. So yeah, there's some ad stuff to learn at some stage, but you don't need to do that till you're up and live. And some people just don't even ever do that. So it's pretty simple, and I like it a lot.
And it's pretty low tech as well. Like you're saying, like, I mean, it's not a lot of it's outsourceable. Like you already said, you even outsource your ads you were mentioning. So again, if you're watching and you're worried about that, you don't need to be worried about that. It's all very simple. I mean, if you're able to watch this video, you probably have most of the technical skills needed to be able to actually do the things like on Upwork and stuff like that. One thing I'm intrigued about, Sophie, is that obviously like Kindle is a huge opportunity there. Are there other digital opportunities that you've looked into that you'll be talking about, or are we mainly going to be focusing on Kindle, all Kindle, 100%?
Well, definitely this production of non-fiction text, I think, is really easy business to build and maintain and to make it profitable for years to come. We've got some AI stuff bolted on. I won't go too deep into all the details of that today, but that certainly helps, and that's a new sort of secret weapon to add into the production cycle. There's so little to do, so it's a very nice thing to fit in part-time with another day job or whatever else you're doing at the moment. It's not such a huge upfront amount of capital or big decisions to make. You can start really quickly with a nice small easy book and learn the ropes, upload the first book, see how it all works, then get a bit more strategic or ambitious and think about using it. But we do an audio book, a paperback, and a ebook for every book we do. And then you can translate it. Yeah, there's only actually so much you can do. It's, with products, there's these channels, and there's, it keeps going and going. This is quite a tight little, it's a smaller business. I mean, if you compare the size of some of these big Amazon product businesses, they're humongous. And, people build empires with products on Amazon. This is definitely, well, I'm a, busy mum. I don't really need an empire. I need free time. So this is a nice lifestyle business for me and anybody in your group listening. I mean, you could do it alongside. The nice thing, if you've got an Amazon product background, is 90% of what you need to know already, like how the Amazon algorithm works, the importance of keywords in your book description, the same as the product description. You can use an AI tool to generate that description. Now, there's it's a lots in parallel, so it's another income stream off of the same platform, but there's no overlap at all of your sales. If anything, you kind of have books that promote your products and products that come with a free ebook, and you build your email list using a quality book.
That's great.
The two together. I don't think anyone else, which is ebook stuff, has done it as an Amazon seller previously. There's a bunch of people that do ebook stuff, having been authors or something, and teaching people book stuff. But this is I think I'm in that nice spot between the two platforms.
Yeah, well, Josh and our team, he actually teaches our well, you would know it as arbitrage, but we call it reselling. He teaches that program called Kickstart. And Josh actually, he makes money right now off of KDP. He's got a book on caravans, I think. Very random. Or I'm not sure if he has it or somebody he's related to has it, but he definitely makes money off of that every month. So he's been actually very interested in this. And I know for a fact he's going to be tuning into the training and executing on that, which will be great. We'll get to document some of what he's up to as well, which is what it's all about here at Marketplace Superheroes, like transparency, but I'll talk to people like you, just ask you the simple questions, like, how does this thing work? And what I really like about this, Sophie, is that from what I can hear, like if you're building a wholesale business on Amazon or whatever, this is something you could fit in because you're outsourcing so much of it. It's not like it's one or the other. And I think that sometimes when there's a big learning curve, that can happen. Like, oh, I'm getting distracted, I can't look at this. But it sounds like, okay, there's a bit of learning at the start, but once you get that, you keep saying that production cycle. I love that. Once you get that moving, really, like you're producing books, you're launching them, producing, you're launching, and you don't have to do that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Even if you did do it all yourself, there's not that much to do. I did all mine. It was sort of in that first sort of 3 years ago now. I did it all myself for a bit, not the writing, but all the attach this Word document and,
Yeah.
you know, press live, choose a price. How do you fix the price? You know, you need to have done it yourself to brief someone well. I've templated it all now, but yeah, it's quite satisfying to learn something new that quickly. It's you know, I do lots and lots of training courses. I'm like just a learning junkie. I've got so many courses. The last one I just did was dog psychology. I've got a business in Christchurch that's a doggy daycare, and yeah, I bought it this year actually. Yeah, so I've got a doggy daycare in Christchurch, so which is like 6 hours from where I live. So I've got this team managing it, and they've got all their dog training and first aid certificates and things up on the wall in the reception area. It's like, oh, I own this thing, and I want to just show to the owners of the dogs who have seen me just sort of take over this business that their old mate Chris was running, and they all knew and liked the owner. I was like, I want to just prove to them I'm, you know, serious about this and not just some random woman in Monaco buying businesses all over the place. So yeah, I do loads of courses, and like the way a lot of that teaching's delivered, it's so painstaking. I mean, I was watching all these videos and putting in these multi-choice answers. I mean, I got a qualification out of it, which is good, but it was such an arduous way to learn something, and there's so much waffle. There's no waffle with this. Like it's just
get me to the point. Yeah, I love that. And I think a lot of people watching today are going to love that as well. I mean, and by the way, if this is on a platform where you can like it and you can comment down below, make sure you do that as well. And also we do have, of course, a training coming up where obviously Sophie's going to come on. She's going to teach you the whole system along with the other people on the team there. We're going to talk about that to you. So tell us about the training that is coming up. What happens on there? What are we going to discover and all that kind of jazz?
Okay. Well, it'll be a bit of a look over my shoulder at how it all works. So just the key points of how to do this, really. It'll assume you know nothing about it and you're new to it. Assume that you're looking for some sort of new income stream and show you the steps involved. And I'll share lots of tips of things I'm doing that are working, and I think it'll be fun. Lots of sort of real live case studies as well, that you'll be able to see exactly what I've been doing, which will be easier than listening to me yakking away on a screen talking at you.
Yeah. Well, I think people will really look forward to that. So like, I'm really looking forward to it as well. I will of course be tuning in also. I'll be listening. I'll be learning just like you will. So I'm really looking forward to it. The details, I'm not going to share them right now just because they could change or whatever, but there will be a link beneath this video. Click it, go get signed up. And of course, we'll be giving you a lot more information about this over the next few days, few weeks, because there's a lot to share. And this was just an opportunity for you to get to know Sophie, see that we know each other as well. And obviously for me here to give my endorsement to everything that you're doing, because yeah, it's a real deal. Like I've seen a lot behind the scenes and I know that the stuff is great. I know it's really succeeding. And so again, I'm actually excited to learn more from you. So thanks for giving us some of your time. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to get on the call and have you do your thing for our audience. It's going to be great.
Brilliant. Thanks, Stephen. See you very soon on the training.